Thank you all for me. Here we go. Hey, it's Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com, and it is World Book Day today. Now, as you might be able to tell from the shelves behind me, I am a big fan of books, and of course, being a photo reading instructor, that's hardly surprising. And this month actually also marks the 18-year anniversary of becoming a photo reading instructor. So getting on a plane out to Minneapolis in the United States with just a couple of days notice seemed like a crazy thing at the time, but absolutely one of the best investments I've ever made in myself. So what I wanted to do today for World Book Day is I started off today with a series of questions. I've been posting them throughout the day. So let me just show you the first one. The first question was, is there a book that woke you up? And for me, it was sitting one day watching the Oprah Winfrey show, as it was back then. And she talked about a subject I really didn't know anything about. And I didn't even know if the subject of the show even existed. It's so intangible. And so I actually then went out and bought the book because I was so intrigued. And this one I feel was almost like sowing the seeds, because to go from not knowing what this thing is to then be a reader of it just seems a little bit crazy if I think about it now. So this was one of the books that woke me up. The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. And it's an inspiring vision of humanity's spiritual destiny. But I remember watching a show thinking, well, what is a soul and why would it want a seat? So this was one of the first ones. I think it was laying the foundations I couldn't have possibly known back then. And this was probably around, I don't know, the late 80s, early 90s. Let's see when this one was published. So this was published in 1990. So he probably did the interview around that time as part of the book promotion. And back then, if you'd said to me, Marilyn, you'd have become a soul plan reader, I probably would have laughed you out of town, because I don't know why, I just curiosity. I think I just didn't, the things we were talking about was so new, so different. And so this is the one that I purchased, and who would have foreseen where that would have led to? So that's that one. The second one, and it was around the same sort of time, late 80s, early 90s, was a series of books from Ayanna Van Zandt. The first one that I think I probably laid my hands on, and again, I was watching her on the Oprah Winfrey show, this one here, Acts of Faith. Now, this one was a present from my sister she signed it for my 28th birthday. As she says, I hope you will find this book to be as inspirational as I have. Happy 28th birthday. Well, this one, as you can see, it's a bit dog-eared because I'm now 51. But it's one that I actually used as a kind of a daily, because there's a thing for every single day. It's like a diary, like a calendar book. So every day you could read a particular, actually, let's see, what does it say for the 5th of March? So it always starts with a small quote and then a larger piece of text. So March the 5th. The determination to outwit one's situation means that one has no models, only object lessons. And that's a quote from James Baldwin. Okay, so while I'm about it, let's just go with this piece. So March 5th, if you are facing a challenge in your life, before asking someone else what to do, remember what you did the last time. Nothing is new in life. Everything has been said or done by you. It may look different. There may be new people involved. It may even feel different, but it's not. The key is to recognize the lesson. Ask yourself, what am I learning in this situation? Is it patience, peace, forgiveness, independence? What am I feeling now? Have I felt it before? What did I do then? Remember, no one can learn your lessons but you. And the best teacher you will ever have is experience. And then there's an affirmation at the bottom as well. So it says, I am divinely guided at all times, and I know exactly what to do. Now, when I read this now, yeah, it sort of sounds like me and the things I kind of do and what I practice. This was when I was 28 years old, where I had, I graduated probably 7 years or so before. So at that time, I had a business studies degree. I'd done the postgraduate marketing diploma with the Chartered Institute of Marketing. Probably around the time I was, let me see, where are we now? So that would have been 90. Yeah, so I was probably still working in the publishing industry as an event manager and a conference manager, so organising kind of industry business events. A couple of years before I got the job for the investment bank in the city, so very different to the life that I'm living now. So some of this would have been a little bit out there to me, but what I remember just doing is reading it and then seeing, okay, what could I take from that, and sort of answering. I mean, God, I wish I'd written all this stuff down. It will be fascinating to see what the 28-year-old me said in response to these questions. So that was one that was given to me by my sister. This is one of them that I purchased, and again, I remember when she appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, talking about this book, and the idea of the valley is when you're in those deep dark places, there will be value there. And at that point, I remember kind of watching, thinking, no, there's no way there's any value in what I've been through, and they clearly don't understand my life and how difficult it's been. But got the book, just to see if I could find some. There's a bookmark. I'm just reading it to see if I can decipher where this was from. Some notes on the back. Clearly this is old because it's talking about CDs. So the bookmark was in the place of The Way Out. If I had a nickel for each time I really thought I knew what I was doing, I would be rich! Exclamation mark. I had no idea how confused and out of touch I was until I took a moment to seriously look at myself. I was not only blind, I was deaf and dumb about the things which really should have mattered to me. I thought I did not matter, so I could not trust myself. I believed no one really cared about me and concluded I must have done something to make them feel that way. Most of all, I did not like me. I was all wrong. The events of my life had led me to these conclusions. However, I must admit I willingly accepted them. What is the lesson in feeling ugly, being wrong, believing you are worthless? The only way to understand is to have some light shed on your issues. Now, that passage right there would have been exactly how I was feeling when I had this book, when I was first reading this book in the 1990s. I don't know why the bookmark is on that particular page. I've not read this book for years. It's probably been on the shelf for at least 10 years, if not a bit longer. So I don't know why the bookmark was there. But I've turned down one of the pages as well. You cannot defend against what you fear. Fear clogs the brain! Exclamation mark. Another common fear motivated behavior is vagueness. All of a sudden, you do not understand. You did not hear it correctly. There was a miscommunication. You thought they meant this, that, huh? What do you mean? Is the most common response when we want to be vague. You know perfectly well what you heard the question, understood the instructions, or heard the statement. However, if it touches on a sore spot or weak area in your life or mind, you get vague. Vagueness is our most common response when we do understand something and our actions are questioned. Rather than being wrong, we get dumb. And of course, with all the stuff that was later to come with the brain fog, etc., that was another piece. So those were the books that really, I would say, kind of woke something up in me. And I remember when I was watching Oprah, it was one of the first times that I was like, actually, do you know what? I didn't believe it was possible for me, but what I was seeing was that there were people who had had a life that was as difficult as mine, or even more so, and they had turned things around, or they were turning things around. So I would watch it, not really thinking or believing that I could turn things around, but it was like, oh, well, at least it's possible for some people. And I remember desperately wanting to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show, not as a speaker and an expert as I would want to be on the show now, but I wanted to be in the audience so that one of those authors could speak to me, and they could either say, I'm sorry, there's no hope for you, good luck, or they could share some words of wisdom that would resonate with me in the same way it was resonating with people in the audience. And I remember just so wishing that I lived in the United States so I could be in the audience, to be there and maybe be one of the people that would put a question to these authors to see if there was any hope for me. So that was the place of those books. So those were the ones I would say that kind of woke me up. The next question I had is the whole thing around, was there a kind of pivotal moment? And for me, this one went in stages. So the books I've just shown you, I had them, I read them, they were interesting, but I wasn't in the place where I could believe the words that were being said. I could see it was happening for other people, but I wasn't in a place yet where it had integrated with regards to me. That was to come a few years later. So the next two that then kind of moved things further down the line, and I actually did go back and read these books a couple of years ago, and as I was reading them, it's like I'd written them. It was like, oh yeah, this is my life, this is my daily life. But at the time, it was complete alien territory for me. And I purchased these two books on exactly the same day. I was coming back from the hospital from another thyroid appointment. And I kind of got lost. Now, if you see where Market Street is in relation to the centre of town, you'd be like, really, Marilyn? But I lived in North Watford at the time, but that's no excuse because, it's not really that big. But anyway, I got lost on the way back, and I was walking down what I now know to be Market Street, just in a world of my own. Again, really upset, really depressed because, it was not good news. And I was just hit by this smell, and it was the smell of incense. So, whew. Now I didn't know what really, but it was just this smell, which I now know to be incense. And I just looked to my side. So I was facing this way. So I would have looked to my left. So I looked to my left, and I just saw dream catchers, fairies, what looked like gargoyles and devils, crystals. And I was like, whoa, what is that? And then I was kind of going to walk past, and I just glanced in, and I saw a bookshelf. And even though I wasn't a photo reading instructor or anything like that, this was probably a good 22 years ago, 23 years ago, something like that. I just remember going in and just thinking to myself, oh, I see what books they've got. I'll bypass all of the other nonsense and just look at the bookshelf. And so I wandered in, just cabinets of stuff everywhere. It was a shop called The Oracle, which was run by the lovely Faith Charlotte. That shop was ahead of its time. If it was open now, she would be cleaning up. But 23 years ago, this was more of the, what's this? Rather than everybody would be in that shop. It would just be a magnet. So I kind of went to the bookshelf, glanced at some of the other things that were around, thought, not really for me. And there are two books that just immediately, now in photo reading terms, I describe it as they jump out at you. Back then it would have been, I would have just said, oh, they got my attention. Two books that completely jumped out at me, and I picked them up again. I don't even know if I knew what Betty Shine did at the time, but let me show you the two books. So here they are. Denise Lynn, Signpost, and Betty Shine, Mind Magic. Now, Betty Shine, it turns out, was a medium. Again, couldn't be further from what I was into or what I was interested in. And Signpost, I don't know, and it said how to interpret coincidences and symbols in your life. Now, for those of you who follow me will know that one of my favorite hashtags is hashtag synchronicity, because there are symbols and sign all over town. I just posted something on my Synchronicity Files page today. And as I was purchasing these books, Faye was behind the counter. I didn't know her, never met her before. So, she takes the books, tells them what they cost, put them in the bag. And she says, oh, these books will change your life. They will. And I remember thinking, what the bleep do you know about my bleeping life? Didn't say that, of course. I was thinking it in my head. So I just sort of, whatever, and just took the books and left. Faye was absolutely, now Faye is a psychic, she's a clairvoyant, etc. And so she's right, they absolutely did change my life, and they are what my life is now all about. But at the time I was just like, what is she talking about? And I was so moved by the Betty Shine book that I actually wrote to Betty, and she wrote back. I've got the letters in my filing cabinet drawer still. And of course the signs. I remember this was the first time I was reading about things like white feathers and, you know, things that you might dream, and, you know, what do they all mean, because this one is, it's an A to Z of what the signs mean. Now, according to Denise Lynn, because you might sometimes have your own interpretation, but I just remember reading and going, wow, who knew? You know, some of these things will appear in dreams. Some of these things are things that you will actually see. Melons. Melons, round and full of seeds, are a sign of wholeness and opportunity. Mermaid, merman. This can be a sign of a magical spiritual commune with the sea, with your emotions, and with the depths of your being and your subconscious mind. Do you have a temptation or attraction towards an unattainable lover? Yeah, I did at the time, probably all the time, because when you don't think you're good enough, you think everybody is unattainable. Oh, meditation. This may be a sign that your guide desires to speak with you, but your mind is too busy to listen. Take time to be still and connect with your own inner voice and the Creator. Meditation is as simple as being quiet and listening to your heart. And again, I know it sounds weird now when I say it, but all of this would have been alien territory to me. It was just like, what? But, you know, it was a forerunner to, I guess, wanting to try and make sense of the world, try and understand the world more deeply. And I'm guessing the reason I might have picked up mind magic is thinking that it would help me understand what was going on in my mind. And this one's called Mind Magic, the Key to the Universe. Question: is there any danger that one can expand the mind energy too much? Is there any danger that I couldn't get it back? So Betty says, no danger at all. Even with people who practice astral travel, where the mind energy leaves the body and projects itself elsewhere, there is always a large part that never leaves. Only when your mind decides that your body has no chance of recovery will it eject itself completely. I can't even begin to imagine what I made of all of this back then. It's just like, whoa. Why does the mind energy leave the bodies of perfectly healthy people who are injured in accidents, but are then successfully brought back to life? Betty shares in her answer, shock is the cause. If there is even a remote chance that the body will recover, the mind energy will soon slip back again. Ooh. Wow, this is just fascinating. And this, the bit I'm looking at is written like a Q&A. So this is just so cool. Anyway, so yeah, so those were the two. Again, when I first laid my hands on them, at no point did the thought enter my head that this would be my life, that these would be the things that I'm doing, that this will be the stuff that I live and breathe. But again, I don't think there are any coincidences. That's why I'm always talking about hashtag synchronicity. There was a reason I got lost that day. There was a reason the incense hit me the way it did. There was a reason that I didn't just walk past and roll my eyes. There's a reason I went in and picked these two books off the shelf. And Faye Charlotte was absolutely correct. They did change my life. So, you know, that's those two. Another of the questions that I had was, which book has been out of this world for you? And for me, the one that's coming up next is an absolute game changer. I cannot even begin to imagine what my life would be like without this book and without the contents of this book. So just going to have a bit of water and then I'll show you what this one is. And if you're watching this either in real time or in the recording, I would love to know which books woke you up, maybe woke you up to a different aspect of yourself or a particular topic, etc. And also, you know, is there a book that's been out of this world for you, which was an absolute, you know, game changer and, you know, just impacted the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, etc. Feel free to kind of share in the comments. So this one was out of this world. And when I first laid my hands on this book, it lay dormant for 2 years, because I bought this probably 19 1998, around that time. But because I didn't believe it was possible to even achieve that, because that was also around the time I'd had what was thought to be the early onset Alzheimer's diagnosis. And I was in that condition for about 3 years. And so I got to the point where it's like, you know what? This is it. My doctor said there's nothing else he can do for me except give me a medical certificate that I can give to the ACCA, because I was studying to be a chartered accountant. So it was like, hopeless. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't bother to really look at it. I mean, why I would spend several £100s on it and then not look at it, it was like, yeah, come on, Marilyn, come on now. But the other reason, of course, was this wasn't my world. I actually thought it was probably just a load of American hype. I guess I was clutching at straws. But then when I got into it 2 years later, within days, it started to work its magic. And I went from, worst in class to best in class in the matter of 2-3 weeks. So the book that kind of, was out of this world and just blew my mind when I read it, when I implemented it, when I put it into practice, when I started to use it, is this one here. This is the old version. So if you got the newer version, you might not recognize this one. It's got the little love heart on it, which is a sign to me that, never let anyone get your hands on this copy because it's signed. And this is the one that Paul Sheely signed for me in March 2002. So if you're watching this in real time, it's now March 2020. This is the book that Paul signed. It says, "To Marilyn, celebrate your genius, Paul R. Sheely, 302. And this was the book that Paul gave to me when I jumped on the plane with it literally was minutes before the plane. I bought my suitcase and packed it on the airport floor, but a couple of days notice, and decided to go out and become a photo reading instructor. So this one has been absolutely mind-blowing for me. And for the last 20 years, it has been blowing my mind every single day. And you probably think, look, after 20 years of photo reading and 18 years of being a photo reading instructor, really? Absolutely, totally, hand on heart. Every day photo reading surprises me. Like today, for those of you who've been looking at my feed in real time, you would have seen me talking about the interview that I did with BBC Radio. It was 5 minutes notice. I was upstairs in my house PJs. Just happened to be, my iPad the cover wasn't down, and I saw something flash up from, it's like a Twitter notification. I don't get much from Twitter in terms of messages. So I had a look, and it was the producer from a show, BBC Radio 5, saying, I love your, because I just sent a quick sentence over. They were asking if somebody could help with something, and I said, oh, this is what I do. And she said, oh, sounds perfect. Can you talk now? I was like, woo. And we can, let's do Skype. And I was like, oh my God, better get out of my house PJ. So I whipped that off, and I was just going down to make a cup of tea and go to the bathroom. And it's in moments like that where the photo reading comes into its own, in terms of getting into state, opening your mind. Because with 5 minutes notice, I had no idea. And I posted the quote from that producer on my page. Let me go to my page, and I will tell you what the outcome of that very impromptu interview was, because I posted a little quote earlier today. Okay, so here we go. So this I posted 7 hours ago on my Facebook page. The producer says to me after the interview, she says, "This is really good, fantastic, just what we need, and you've given me more than I can use," which always happens when I write articles and stuff. "You're exactly what we need, and so eloquent. I wish we could get you on live." And she actually went back to the producer of the show. She said, "I think it's too late because the show's already set. We just need this final segment." So she actually went back to the producer, played them the tape, and says, "Can we get Marilyn on live tomorrow?" And they said, "We can't. We with the coronavirus and everything that's happening, we've already got too much that we're trying to fit into the show." But she said, "Next time an opportunity comes up, I'm going to get in touch, because we would love to have you live. You're just what we're looking for." And a lot of that is down to the photo reading and the whole whole thing about getting into the state, activating left and right brain, and coming up with the information that's going to be required in that moment. Same thing happens when I'm writing articles. Often when I'm writing for new journalists, the first thing they come back and say, oh my God, perfect, spot on. I've even written a few pieces where I've looked at what they're asking me for and I've answered it. And I've also thrown in a twist as well, which actually I think is a better approach to what they're doing. And I've had journalists come back to me and go, thank you so much for that, Marilyn. Your answers are brilliant. And actually what you said was great. We didn't think of that angle, but we love it. We're going to include that too. Again, that's all down to the photo reading, because it's about activating your brain, switching on your creativity, switching on your intuition. And then that's the kind of response you get, even when you've literally genuinely got like 5 minutes notice to go from I'm in my PJs to and we're live. So, you know, the photo reading has been absolutely freaking incredible, to say the least. So that's that one. Let's see what else. So that's the one that's kind of blown my mind. Now, the next question that I put out was, is there a book that you absolutely love? Favorite book. Now, for me to choose my favorite book is just like, it's like trying to choose my favorite movie or favorite song. You know, I was at an awards dinner this week, and the person who organized it, lovely guy called Jason, he said, because there was a disco seems like such an old-fashioned word, but I don't know, party afterwards, whatever, you know what I mean. And so I was dancing to everything, the rock, the pop, the R&B, you name it. And he came up to me, said, do you actually like this music, or are you just dancing for the sake of it? I went, yeah, I do. And he went, no, what kind of music do you like? And I went, yeah, I like music. No, what kind of music? And I went, Jason, trust me, I like everything. I said, there might be certain songs I don't particularly like, but I like everything. And it's the same, you know, books. I've got some really different eclectic books, and they're all fabulous in their own way. But as you know, today I was thinking, okay, come on, Marilyn, it's World Book Day. If you had to pick one of your favorites, what would it be? So I have one of my absolute favorite books here. And the weird thing about this book, now this book, I remember years ago, a friend of mine called Kerwin Ray, actually my brain is like, put the lid on that. You got some of your favorite books on the table. I'm just going to put it down with the bottle open. Thank you, intuition. One of my friends, Kerwin Ray, was speaking at the National Achievers Congress. And somebody came running up to me. Now, we were in the front row because we're there with Kerwin. And, you know, if you've been to that, it's like 5,000 people in that room. Somebody comes running up to me in the break. I was just about to sit down. Now, my friend Gina had already abandoned me because she's like, I'm not going to the bathroom with you, because you walk 2 steps and somebody comes, oh, Marilyn. We'd like, it take like 20 minutes to get to the toilet. So she'd gone off and left me. So I'm kind of walking back, and somebody just kind of literally swerved in front of me and says, it's you, isn't it? So it depends what I've done. If it's a good thing, it's me. If it was a bad thing, it's probably my twin sister. Now, of course, I don't have a twin sister. She says, you spoke at the Abbey Road meeting, because there used to be a friend of mine called Simon Hinton used to run an entrepreneurs group, and they would run it upstairs at Pizza Express on Abbey Road. So yeah, you know, the Beatles, etc. That Abbey Road. And so she said, I was at the entrepreneurs meeting, She says, you did a draw, and you were giving away some books. And she says, one of the books you gave me was the one I'm about to introduce you to. And as you handed me the book, you said, this book will most likely change your life. She says, Marilyn, I've been really wanting to find you again, because this book has changed my life. Now, the thing that is crazy about this book is when you get the book, it is completely blank. There are some quotes in it, but the whole book, 98% of the book is completely blank. There's nothing in it. And the talk I was doing was some kind of inspirational talk. I know it was probably a talk about goal setting, intention, etc. And that's why I said, you know, I'd love to gift someone a copy of this book, because it's absolutely changed my life. And then I was explaining it's a process that I started using, you know, that would have been 10, 15 years prior to getting this book, but then to have something that looks really nice to do it in, because I've been doing the same process that I do with these books since the year 2000. And this probably came out, I don't know, 2009, 8, 9, something like that. But this is one of my absolute favorite books. So this is the book here. And those of you who signed up back in the day for my Magic and Gratitude program will recognize this book. It's the Gratitude Journal, and it's a spin-off from the movie The Secret. Now, this one doesn't have any blank pages because it's now full of my writing. But when you get the book, it's completely blank on both sides. But there are, I mean, there's one blank page right at the very end, but that's it. That is the very last page. That's the only one in the whole book that's blank. So, you know, there's some gaps and spaces because I use this in a particular way. It's interesting. Wow. This one was from 2012 and 2013. Let me just go to the beginning because I helpfully wrote dates in it. Geez, this is quite an eye-opener. This is one I'm going to go back. Oh, it says something about photo reading there. What did I see? What did I say? Oh my God. Yeah. I was writing here about getting that's just crazy. About getting photo reading bookings and the workshops. Oh, Gina's in it. Anyway, this book, before I get too carried away, this book is completely blank. And there's a particular way that I use it. But basically, you know, you'd write down the things that if you're following the principles of the kind of the Magic and Gratitude program, every day for 10 days, I got people to write down what they appreciated, what they were grateful for. And you do that every day for 28 days. And when I launched that program in February 2013, I had someone on that workshop who was depressed, dragging herself out of bed in the morning. Within 7 days, she was getting out of bed, her words, with a spring in her step. Within 14 days, started to get excited and get clarity about what she wanted to do with her life. Within 28 days, she had an idea of what she wanted to do, and I ran teleseminars alongside it as well. By the end of the 3 months, in terms of what we were doing, she'd met someone who could help her with that work. Within 6 months, she was gearing up to do her own workshops. I attended her first workshop, completely full, and within a year, she was seeing clients, and her waiting list was so busy that when I wanted to do a session, even I had to go on the waiting list. That's how life-changing this stuff is. So that is still one of my favorite books because you are the creator of that particular story. So, you know, that's one of my favorites. So yeah, that is a compendium of some of the books from, and I was going to say from the early days, but that's not quite true because there was when I was at university, I did a counseling course. The book was called The Skilled Helper. And one of the reasons I did the course, I thought maybe if I could understand more about this counseling and sort of stuff that I've been hearing about, it might then help me to feel better about myself if I was able to help others. So that book is also out on the shelf. So I did that course as a kind of, did a full-time business studies degree, but did it part-time. I think I did that in the evenings. But there were many, you know, so I probably could have sat here and taken you through like 100 books, but I just thought I'd pick the ones that, you know, marked major milestones where they sowed the seed for something. They started to lay the foundations, even though I didn't realize that at the beginning. Everything, you know, was still, it seemed just completely random, but the way my life has played out in terms of becoming a photo reading instructor, becoming a soul plan reader, doing tarot readings, you know, there's something in all of these books that I'm now doing that is my life. You know, the whole thing around synchronicity with Denise Lynn and the signs, the value in the valley, the acts of faith, that's what I'm doing with other people when I'm, you know, doing breakthrough sessions with people. So all of these books from all these years ago have absolutely come to life, and they are now my life. Whereas when I first read them, they were completely alien territory. So that's my World Book Day piece. I just wanted to kind of do that. And also, came across a gem of a book today, again, seemingly randomly. I was at my private members club. Decided to go into London because one of the journalists I'd written something for sent me an email saying, oh, by the way, I think the piece that you contributed to will be in the Evening Standard Thursday the 5th. And I was like, oh, you know, I could ask some of my friends, but, you know, people are busy. They sometimes don't remember, or that's not the day they're in London, etc. And I thought, you know what, rather than having to try and, you know, coerce someone to go out into London and get a one for me, I thought, do you know what? I was going to go into London at some point this month anyway. I'll go today. So went into London sort of to pick that up, and got to the club. There's a book. There are books all over, and I just sat next to a book. There's loads of books. I posted the picture on my Facebook page, and there was just one book on the shelf, and I couldn't see it because it was, you know, the body of it was facing me when I sat down. It was leaning up on the shelf. So I'm eating. I thought I'd have some dinner while I'm there, so I was having something to eat, and then I, you know, glance at the book, and it says something like Bodicea, and I said, oh, I think I've mentioned her for Wisdom Wednesday in the membership group. What's this about then? So I take it off the shelf. Oh my life, fan-freaking-tastic. So that is going to be an amazing book for International Women's Day, which is coming up a few days from now, 3 days from now. So I will share that one with you on International Women's Day, because it was an stonkingly good read. Absolutely fantastic. So that was the gem of the book that I discovered today on World Book Day. So we'll talk about that one on International Women's Day. So thank you for watching. I would love to hear more about your books, and, you know, keep in touch, keep tabs. If you're watching this on YouTube or maybe listening to it as an audio, my email address is marilyn@transformationstm.com, and it's Marilyn, Marilyn, at trance, TRANCE, F for Freddie, FORMATIONS, TM as in trademark.com. So Marilyn@transformationstm.com. My website is transformationstm.com. If you want information about the photo reading workshops, you can either do those online or in person. It's transformationstm.com/photo reading. On social media, it's Marilyn Devonish, DEV for Victor, ONISH, and except for Instagram, where it's the Neuro Success Coach. So keep in touch. Do follow on social media. That will be fabulous. And for those of you actually who would like to attend the 2020, ignore the 20% off. There's no early booking price now because we're out of the early booking price phase. That's a couple of months before we go live. But if you wanted to join us for the 2020 workshop, it's actually 1 month from today will be the final day of the workshop, because it's the 3rd to the 5th of next month. So if you did want to join us, head on over to the website. And if you go to the transformationstm.com website, there's also a photo reading tab along the top. So just click on that and it will bring up all of the information. And you can book your place on the site. And I'd say book via the site now rather than Eventbrite, because if you book an Eventbrite, you'll get a booking fee on top of that. And as there's no early booking price, you know, you might as well just book directly via the website. So yeah, if you want to come and join us for some life-changing photo reading on this wonderful World Book Day, then feel free to sign up. We've got a family flying in from Australia this time to take the course. So they're flying. I have to sort of smile to myself, because there are people who would complain about coming from London to, I run it in Watford. So it's 20 minutes on the train from London Euston, and then you can practically see the hotel from Watford Junction Station. And I still have people going, oh, it's a bit far. I've got a family flying in from Australia. They're coming in there they're coming with their, I think it's 3 kids, and they're coming in their half-term weekend. That's crazy cool, fantastic. So yeah, if you can make it for the 2020 workshop, it's 4 weeks from now. And if you kind of missed that one, then you can go to the website, drop me an email, and I'll add you on the list for, you know, letting you know when there'll be another one running. Not sure, maybe another one this year, I'm not sure. And if there is, it will probably be 6-7 months from now, but it'll definitely be one, you know, next spring. So cool. Well, thank you for watching. Would love to hear about the books that have woken you up. Would love to hear about your favorite book or books, and it will be wonderful also to hear if there's a book that absolutely blew your mind. So thank you for watching. Happy World Book Day to my fellow book lovers. And also, while we're about it, thank you so much, given that it's my 18-year anniversary this month, for photo reading. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who has walked through those photo reading doors over the past 18 years. That has been amazing. And if you know someone who would love to take the class and fall in love with books again and actually have the time to read, because the premise of photo reading is learning to read at 25,000 words per minute and being able to photo read a whole book in 5 minutes from start to finish, and then learning strategies to remember and recall what you've read. So if you know anyone for whom that skill will be useful, yeah, you know, students are one of the obvious choices, but I have a lot of people, you know, business owners, entrepreneurs. I've had doctors, lawyers, accountants. I've had a team of rocket scientists from Cranfield University, their Shrivenham Army base. I've had crystal healers, you name it, I've had them on the course. So yeah, it's an age. People often ask about the age group. I've had age 7 to 70 plus. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, you might have seen me share the picture of Eve a couple of days ago, who was 7 when she attended and had her 8th birthday on the workshop. So suitable for all ages, suitable for all professions. And yes, just in case you're wondering, I have had mathematicians as well attend the workshop, so you can use it for things like formulas. It's not just about your traditional style of books. And in terms of opening up your creativity, your intuition, your critical thinking and decision making skills, your ability to kind of public speak, talk without having to need your notes, that thing with the being much more eloquent, all of that and so much more. And one of the complaints I have most often from people when they come to the workshop is, why didn't you tell me it was this good? Why didn't you tell me it was this before? Because I would have come years ago. And I've actually had people get a bit shirty with me about that. And I'm like, well, I did tell you. I've shared the testimonials. I'm always blogging about it. You know, what more could I do? I'm not going to drag people there. And I think I should just start asking for a tenner for every person who says that. I probably wouldn't have to work again. So don't be that person. Just come, sign up. It's always more than people think, and it does exactly what it says it's going to do and so much more. So if you know anyone who would benefit from that, feel free to share my details. Feel free to share this video with them. That would be absolutely amazing. And if you're watching from around the globe and you know you can't get to the UK, then the whole 3-day certification class is now available via on-demand video webinar. So, you know, you're in the room with me for the same 3 days, and there's a quiz to do at the end. And once you've done that, you get your photo reading certificate and all of the same sort of course materials that people get on the workshop. You get a virtual, you know, download MP3 of the book, MP4 of the paralimals and etc. and videos. So it's cool stuff. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.